Welcome back to Catholic Lunch Break here on AM 1430. This is the weekly program where we catch up with all things Catholic in the greater Houston area. This is Wyatt Goolsby with you, and during this Advent season, we've been hearing readings from the Gospel according to Luke. Daniel Cardinal DiNardo had mentioned to the faithful that during this time, we would be reflecting on that Gospel in particular ahead of Christmas. Join us now on the program to talk more about the Gospel of Luke is Sara Beth Meyer. Sarah is an author, theologian, and she actually wrote a book for children called The Gospel of Luke for Little Ones. Sarah, welcome into the studio. Thanks so much for making the drive here all the way from Kingwood.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the book that you wrote to help little ones understand the Gospel of Luke. But before I do, tell me just in general, when you think about the Gospel of Luke, what are some of the main themes from that Gospel that stand out to you?
Luke has always been my favorite Gospel. Our oldest child is named Luke.
Mm-hmm. And I should mention you have 9 children.
That's correct.
So you know about little ones.
Yes, we do. And the next gen, now we've got 3 grandchildren as well. So it's super fun to share these Gospels with our youngest children and now our grandchildren as they get older as well. It's absolutely wonderful. So I've always loved the Gospel of Luke, but it wasn't really until I started researching it to understand why. I sort of loved it in that kind of vague Mary Cassatt women and children sort of way, the warmth. But then to see, one, the complementarity in Luke, so the Annunciations, for example, Zechariah and Mary, how they're alike and different. And then the humility, the constant call in Luke to humility. He always has, say, the publican and the Pharisee, the rich man and Lazarus. Even Zacchaeus is particular to Luke, the little guy who climbs up and to see Jesus, and then Jesus sees him, right? So it's also called the Gospel of Mercy, the Gospel of Prayer. It's unique that it has all the joyful mysteries in it. That's the only gospel that does. Mm-hmm. It's unique that it's the only gospel with the shepherds. Only 2 of the gospels have the nativity, and this is the only one with the shepherds. So I got to learn so many things about my favorite, and that's my favoritist.
It's hard to pick favorites, like your children, right, among the gospels.
Well, with the gospels, I got to tell you, Luke's pretty easy.
Luke's pretty easy. Luke has got so much. I love that idea about promoting lifting up the lowly in the Gospel of Luke, because you just see it more and more as you're really looking for it as you read through. So when you create a book then, Gospel of Luke for little ones, that seems like that would be a tough challenge, because you're trying to break down a book that has, it's so beloved by so many, especially Catholics, because it has the Annunciation, so many things in it that we just recently heard about during Sunday's Gospel reading, during the visitation. How do you begin to break that down?
Well, when we started this project, my friend Allison and I, during COVID, I said, let's start with Mark. It was the shortest gospel, and most scholars think it was the first one written. So it's, only 16 chapters. And we kind of got our rhythm in doing that. So after that, we did Matthew, which was mind-blowingly long, 28 chapters. And then by the time we got to Luke, it felt like we had our feet under us a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so the process every time is I would wake up early in the morning. Doing this during COVID, we were under lockdown with our 7 youngest children. And so the quietest time was early before anyone woke up. And at first, I was like many people who wanted to understand what was happening in the larger world. But it became really clear that with all the arguing and division and rancor among the adults, I felt this deep call to littleness and the joy of the Gospels. And so that's what I would do. I was wake up early and I would read a chapter or 2 and pray, "Come, Holy Spirit," and then just kind of write and reflect. And these stanzas started emerging. So by the time we get to Luke, there was a rhythm, these couplets that would come out in quatrains. So a stanza of 2 couplets. And by the time we got to Luke, as you said, it was so beloved. It's exciting and daunting all at the same time. So I always pray, "Come, Holy Spirit." And then whenever a rhythm feels a little clunky or it's not quite coming out smoothly, I stop. Just like the early church fathers, right? Like Augustine, he would stop, "Come, Holy Spirit," and then he'd write, "Come, Holy Spirit."
Right.
He would hit that roadblock. And so I would do that, "Come, Holy Spirit," and I would go back to the biblical text to what's happening. And sometimes I would literally say, "Jesus, what are you saying? What do you want us to know about you?"
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, we'll give you a chance here, Sarah, to read just read the first section here of Luke chapter 1, where you kind of boil it down into that rhythm that you're talking about here, because I want to hear a little bit of it, because it is rhythmical and it kind of rhymes a little bit.
Okay. 3, 4 stanzas?
Yeah, just go for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
An angel came to Zechariah. A miracle was told. Elizabeth would bear a son, but how? They were so old. The angel was God's messenger. Gabriel was his name. He struck the old priest mute. The man's doubting was to blame. The angel went to Mary next, a virgin girl so pure. He told her she was favored and her blessing would endure. Mary would conceive a child, the Son of the Most High. How? The maiden asked. By the Spirit, he replied. The angel said Elizabeth was blessed in later years. Mary rushed to see her. As the greeting reached her ears, the babe leapt in Elizabeth with joy, and so she knew the Lord was with the virgin. She cried out, "Blessed are you." Mary spoke in praises, and she blessed God's holy name. She remained 3 months with them. Then their baby came. Neighbors said to call him Zechariah after Dad. Writing John, his tongue was freed, and he was so glad.
Fantastic. I really appreciate that, Sarah. I want to let people know about this book. We're already running out of time a little bit. That's fantastic. You got a great voice, by the way, in addition to having a degree in education and theology.
Thank you.
Maybe you have to do a radio program just on this. This is fantastic. I love that. Again, it's the Gospel of Luke for little ones. Sarah, for people who want to learn more about the book and the work that has gone into it, where can they go?
Locally, they can get it at Little Flower in Katy or at the Nest in Kingwood. Online, shopmercy.org for the Marian Fathers, which is lovely. They do so many spiritual works of mercy and corporal works of mercy. And then, by God's grace, it's in all the secular online outlets as well.
And do you yourself have a website?
SarahBethMeyer.com, which is kept up by our illustrator, and she has done downloads that align with all the Sunday readings.
And tell me your illustrator's name so we can give her credit.
Allison Sue, MD, a pediatrician, did all of the artwork.
A pediatrician did watercolor artwork. It's incredible the kind of talent that we have here in our area and across our region as well. Sara Beth Meyer, theologian, educator, author, all of the above. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate your being here.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
We thank all of you for listening here on Catholic Lunch Break. Have a Merry Christmas, and until next time, stay Catholic, Houston.